In this episode of Heart Place Hospital Podcasts, we share the mic with a true light worker, a hope merchant, and a bridge between two worlds. Victoria has walked the awakened path from fear and doubt to fully embracing her psychic mediumship gifts. And as a guide for those ready to step into their soul's purpose, Victoria helps women awaken, heal, and rise. Her work reconnects us to spirit, to ourselves, and to the light within. So tune in for truth, trust, and tools for your own soul-led journey. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. We've been talking for years, and this has kind of been something we wanted to do for a long time. So I'm really happy to be here as a part of Heart Place Hospital to chat with you today about all the things.
Yeah, and me too, back at you. And in Heart Place Hospital, it's all about bridging the gap and supporting those who fall between the cracks. And I think that's, we're going to be able to share space for those people today in conversation. And so I guess where to start is, how did you get to where you are now, Victoria, on speed dating? If you could share that with us.
Yeah. The long story short is I fell pregnant with my second son, or my second child, who is my son, CJ, Christian. And I had a real hard time. I thought I was having a breakdown. And what I found was it was actually a breakthrough. And it propelled me. It woke me up. I call it my Big Bang awakening. So I was a good Catholic girl. I was a hairdresser. I've been with the same guy since I just turned 16, having kids, thought I was creating what I was meant to create. Found out I was a projector in human design. Woke up, bing bang, and literally realized that I had to change my entire life and burn the whole lot down to the ground. And now I am literally serving so many people, thousands of people every single day on platforms, telling them about how they can awaken and what that looks like. But not only how to do that, but how to bring in the purpose and bring it into your mission to actually take actions with that. So that's a very long story made short.
Yeah, amazing. And perfect for the storytelling that we share here at Heart Place Hospital, because we come across these really magical people, and they're, because sometimes we only just see one way, and then we discover that we're actually, for a long time, we've been choosing our paycheck over like our soul-led journey. But the beautiful thing is that when you actually do get back onto your path, is that the benefits, well, not even like the original, like you don't originally do it to receive, but you actually receive abundance as a result of sharing this abundance. Yeah.
You do. And I didn't go into it trying to make money. I now support I don't support my husband. He works with me in a business in our coaching industry. But honestly, in our coaching, I should say, our whole platform of what we do a lot of things, but we were a hairdresser and electrician, which is great trades, it was amazing. We were doing well, even though we could barely make two ends meet. But it's definitely having the courage to find a different perspective in a different way. And I was sick of my own victim consciousness of like, why me? It's so hard for me. These are the cards I've been dealt. It's because my family didn't have money. And then one day I just kind of observed myself. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. And I observed myself and I went, why the heck am I complaining when I get to create? So I literally said to my husband, I've got an idea. How would you feel if you could quit your job? Because he was like a manager at an electrical firm, and we never saw him. Plus, I always felt broke. So, I was like, how would you feel if you co-parent with me? I could have some more time and space to make a difference in the world. And I'll buy you a truck. We'll move to the beach and you can work for me doing all my techie stuff. And he goes, it sounds great. And I go, no, actually though, would you like to actually do that? And he goes, yes. And then within a couple of years, I made that happen. So it is crazy shifting that perspective just a little bit to say what else is possible, because I was so sick of my own conversation going on. So now I work for my future self, not from limitations.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so curious, because, as human beings, we're a vessel, and I'm curious, how I always think about, to receive, we've got to increase our vessel. Like we've got to make it bigger and it can hold more. And I just wonder if you could share some parts of that journey of how you've had to increase that vessel, like upgrade your nervous system, create a space that you can actually hold on to more.
That's a really good question. And like you just said before, like the abundance comes when you're doing the work. So I didn't go into it, I need to make money. It wasn't like that. It was more like I felt a spark, a tiny little spark. Now it's a fuming fire. But I was like, I felt this little spark and I was like, I need to do more. But I knew I was kind of lower frequency. I was drinking alcohol, never getting drunk. I had little kids, but I was just using it as a medicine, if you will. I was just kind of just surviving. But so what I did was I literally was like, well, I'm going to have to commit to myself. So I started exercising. I literally become healthier in all these different ways. And I started a Facebook group because I was giving from a huge heart. This is my journey. This is what I'm going through. This is my sick kid sitting on me while I'm committing to this 30-day challenge of showing up every day at 5:30 in the morning with a bright red face. I'm sweating. I've just been to boot camp. My husband's going to work. So it was kind of like a hustle, but it was so real and so raw. Yeah. So people were just like, this is amazing. If this is your free stuff, then what is your paid stuff like? So I started getting asked, how do I work with you? So I had to do me. It's an inside job, inside out, not externally, where I noticed most people were externally, and I went, I have to create space for myself. How am I going to do that with two little kids that are clinging to me because it's only 2 years apart? I need to get healthy. How am I going to do that when I've got addictions? I need support. How am I going to do that when I've got postnatal depression? Like seriously, I had everything stacked against me. So I thought, I can't sit looking at the stack, and I don't want to have a mortgage for 28 million years. And I don't want to have to save for 10 years to be able to go to Fiji. I was like, is this life? This painful. So, and then I'd get guilty for feeling that I was, feeling like it wasn't enough. I was fighting with my husband and all that stuff. So I was like, I've got to expand my capacity. I started going to Chi classes, which cost me $50. And I was like, oh my God, I'm taking all this money from my family. It's so much money. So all the guilt and the shame and the shadow started coming up. But I started finding people that could support me in that. So I would find friends and people would pop in, and honestly, the signs of synchronicities, spirit was a whole new level of coming in to support me. And I realized that I was here for more. I had gifts and I didn't even know what they were, but they had to be there. They had to be there because I could see them in everybody else, and I'm a mirror of other people. So I went on this tangent, and I revoked, I know this triggers some people, so I'm going to say it though anyway. I did revoke religion. Now that's not for everybody, okay? Because some people love their religion, and I work with religious people all the time. But I revoked it because I wanted to be a voice for consciousnness, whatever that meant. So I didn't know what I was doing. Faith, you said it before, like trust, truth, and the other thing,
Tools.
Yeah, that's amazing. Trust. Yeah. Trust, tools, and what was the other one?
Truth, trust, and tools. Yeah.
I need to write that down.
Yeah.
So I kind of went by that, and I literally said, if there is God, if everything is what it is, here's my blank piece of paper. I'm going to start fresh. What do I believe in? And I literally, the first thing I wrote down was Jesus. And then I crossed it off because I was like, I don't actually know because I was told that. So I've been on a journey for 10 years of literally, do I believe that? Does that resonate with me? I've got my discernment. I'm reading energy. I'm really a master of energy. And I started expanding somatics. I've worked with you, Jackie, and expanding somatics, breath work, movement, cacao. And I went on this journey of, you know what? This is all about me. And now I'm literally, I can hold 10 years, I'm a bit more mature, but I can hold so much more. Before I was drowning, constantly drowning, and I'd get a breath. And now I'm like, doesn't matter if I have a sleepless night, I'm regulated. My nervous system is okay. So all the things, the nervous system, the health, you cannot be drinking yourself like to death, excuse my language, but you can't be drinking poison and having addictions and going, I'm spiritual and I'm making millions of dollars. I actually say another thing that's a little bit triggering is that if you really want to be spiritually aligned, the most spiritually aligned people I know are extremely wealthy and healthy. And if you're not healthy and wealthy, then you're not actually spiritually aligned. So I know that's a bit of a trigger point for some people maybe listening, but maybe look at it from a different lens of how can I allow myself? How can I be willing enough to be healthy and wealthy? Because it's the willingness. It's not that I've got to have this, I've got to do this. It's I'm willing to be healthy. I'm willing to be wealthy. I'm willing to be happy. And the willingness is the consciousness that opens up and then the universe starts landing things in. So that's how I did it. I use a lot of consciousness tools.
I love it. I want to witness you on a few things because you it's just so beautiful what you've done. So first of all, what I want to witness is what that conversation with your husband was just such the divine feminine and divine masculine. Like you had this download, you offered it up, he received it, and he's given back. So it's just that beautiful balance, which I just love witnessing and love seeing and seeing it more and more, particularly in women who are stepping up into their soul aligned gifts. It's so amazing. And then the other part that I really want to witness you on is you dismantled. You had a dismantling and then you had a remembering. And this is what I really love sharing with people is that when we actually dismantle those wounds, those traumas, and that they can be eons old, they're not necessarily ours. And the more work that we do here at Heart Place Hospital, we do a lot of precision work. So we actually get down to the DNA, like what are you holding on to? And so when you actually dismantle that, then this remembering comes up. And at first, I don't know, I'd love to hear how you went, but at first I was just like, and I was Googling it going, how come just I know this? Like, and that's just the magic of it all. And I really, 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 really want to dismantle this myth in healthcare that, for us to get well, it's purely the mental and the physical, and the myth that to actually heal your trauma, you have to lie on a couch and recount the stories and all those things. And you and I are an example of, and you're amplifying more examples of. And when we ripple that effect out, and this is the feminine, when we step up into our soul aligned gifts, and we have that divine masculine, that protector, that giver, then we can be in that flow that we just absolutely are designed to be in. And the ripple effect, if you think of currency, you think of flow, you think of water, it just ripple effects out, and then everybody gets to experience it.
Exactly. It's just reaching one person. I've got on my, and I never thought, skipping back before when I was a hairdresser, I never thought I'd never used a computer in my life. I'd blow them up. And honestly, like, I would never, if I walked past an office, if we had an office or wherever we lived, I would literally run past it because I was so afraid of computers. I got anxiety. I freaked out. So I had never, if someone told me, and this is another point, right, for those listening, if someone told me you're going to be a psychic medium, a spiritual empowerment coach, you're going to be reaching millions of people, the ripple effect is going to be so big, and you're going to be making like so much money that you can retire your husband, you can buy a second home, you can move to the beach, your kid can do ballet, like I would have probably frozen and ran away. I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I would have gone, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
It feels so hard, man. Like, just no more. So I'm so grateful that I don't know what the next 10 years hold because we don't have to think, we can't think about the work we've got to do because when we're in it, we're living anyway. So it's really interesting, the masculine and the feminine. My husband and I used to fight all the time. And when I made a commitment to myself and consciousness, I always say consciousness herself because we're literally mirrors. I was like, I'm willing to lose everything, including my husband. I will not lose my children because that is my human. My human is my kids and my everything. I will sacrifice my soul for them. But like, in all honesty, I'm willing to let go of everything. I will commit to following truth. That was my faith because I had faith before, being brought up with faith, but I had to shift that faith. So I put a lot of faith in myself And I was like, there's a difference between your purpose and your mission. And you've got to have a whole lot of audacity or tenacity, or both, to fulfill your mission, just like you are, Jackie, just like what you're doing. It's not easy. It's easy to know what your mission is. Any psychic can tell you that. Your purpose, sorry. But what is your mission? Your mission takes hardcore action. It takes standing there on a stage, practically naked, going, I don't even know what I'm going to say. That's the type of energy it takes. The money just followed, but it never started with that. I said to Spirit, you guys are going to pay me if you want me to do this work, because I can't do this and hairdress and my husband. So my husband and I now, we don't fight. We get along so well. He does all the techie stuff. I know how to use a computer. On my wall, I've got my vision board, reach 1 million souls with my work this year. And like you said, the ripple effect, sure. Like how many people we're going to reach today, and then how many of those people are going to be touched by their vibration, and so on and so forth. So we're reaching so many people. That lights me up. Not about the bank account, but that's still important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's total riff then, ADHD riff.
Yeah. I love it. And I have to witness you on your computer. I find many projectors in computers. It's just like, projectors and tech I find interesting.
It's interesting, right? And now I use a computer, and I used to have an old cell phone, and I was like, what else is possible with the resources that I have to reach people? So I was like, well, I know how to use Facebook. I'd never really used it. So I made a group, and I literally was just like, hi, my name's Victoria, and this is what I learned today. It's a consciousness tool.
Yeah.
And then I shared it, and I was just so raw and real, and people started following. I did a summit, which is hilarious because I didn't even know what a summit was. I just bought this program. I got sucked into a funnel, and I was like, well, I've got to do it now because I've got to prove that I can do it. And I interviewed 21 people from around the world. So that got me very well and true used to interviews and Zoom. I still got my husband to set up the Zoom and to download it. And I only learned how to put things onto YouTube about a year ago. And I've been in business for years. But it just goes to show you don't need to be techie to make a difference. Your guides will always take you what you need to, but you have to have the power, the strength, and the courage to say yes, even when you don't know how.
Yeah, I agree. I always say it's not for the faint-hearted, and I thought I was faint-hearted. I really did. Now there's no way I can say I'm that.
No, you're very strong.
Yeah. So I'm just curious we love rock stars here, and the world's spinning wildly, and we know, we've been through this countless times, wars and destructions and craziness and crazy managements, and there's so many more of us now, like, who are stepping into our consciousness, into the love consciousness, and we know that the panacea is being love rock stars, being hope merchants. However, there is kind of like there's like a rite of passage, I guess, and you and I have talked about this in the past, and these seasons and reasons. But I just wonder if we could just talk about there's obviously the amazing byproducts and silver linings, but what about some of the lead linings that have occurred? Yeah.
As in when an awakening, when people are stepping up.
Yeah.
So
people perceive you and how that's been for you.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, you've got to deal with your own shadows. And mostly people don't want to do that. They barely want to look in the mirror, because we're always fault finding. But sitting with the guilt and the shame and seeing what that is and seeing if it's real and seeing if it belongs to you. So the first thing is always looking at yourself without a victim consciousness. So I see too many people in this victim consciousness, and I'm all about raising mine, whatever that looks like. The second thing is, once you've kind of gone, okay, well, it's never going to go away, so I'm going to walk with my fear and constantly just clean things up as they go. Like I've been doing shadow work the last 2 days, with the solstice. But the second thing is, then you've got to deal with other people's shadows because they're going to project onto you, right? And this is what I find is that I'm a projector, a 3-5, so I've got the projector energy, but I've also got the 5 line. I think you do too, Jackie. I think we are 3-5s, right?
I'm a 4-2.
Oh, you're a 4 too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There must be something in our chart that's similar because
I know. We must have a gate.
I think it was a 3-5. Whoops. Cool too. Okay, that's very special. Yeah, very special that one. But so I've got a projector line. So people will literally, I'm glad I learned this. They'll either put me on a pedestal. Oh my God, Victoria Bonds, like, oh my God, or they will like do the opposite. So they will really love me or they won't like me, and not everyone recognizes me because I'm a projector. So when I find someone who recognizes me, not because I've got agendas or motives, it's really delightful because I'm like, oh, you recognize me. So we have a soul connection. So for me, I had to really realize that when I put myself out there, I'm here to trigger people. So I owned that rather than being the good girl, the people pleaser, the good Catholic girl, the oldest of 5 children, mummy and daddy's good girl, which I always tried so hard because I'd be a chameleon to whatever they needed to keep my family safe. Of course, that's a projector thing as well. But I just had to go, I cannot afford to care about other people's shadow projections onto me because I'm here to trigger them awake. I'm here to activate them awake. And people, I always say, as soon as anyone comes to work with me in Magnificent Mediumship or anything, and one-to-one, I go, take me off the pedestal and do not blame me for your shit. Like, that sounds crazy, but I'm like, your results are your results. I'm here and I will activate you and I will trigger you. Because I know that's what I do.
Yeah.
And we may not be together forever. And that was a thing that we talked about before. Like, I'm here for the world. So I can make friends, but I'm not attached to anyone because I'm here to make a difference in the world. That's my mission. So I'm attached to my husband because he's pretty awesome and he's my best friend, and my kids. But apart from that, I've got amazing friends. But if they stop being my friends, I'm okay with that because I made a commitment to consciousness that I'm here for the world.
I love that.
So that, having the authenticity and the integrity, holds me. So if I am getting completely slammed or projected on, I can hold myself and go, I'm always leading with my heart. I'm always leading with my heart. And like I was talking to you about my new friend who's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And she has a lot of people just constantly poking at her. And she's like, you know what? I feel so sorry for those people. And I just love them so much. She'll have 10 million soon because of that attitude. She knows it's not her. She knows it's their projection, and she actually flows in love, where most people take it so personally and they go into their ego. And I used to be a bit like that too. I want to make sure everyone's happy, but now I'm like, I can't afford to do that. I'm here for a job. So that's how I deal with it energetically.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's I just took something away from that myself. So thank you so much. Yeah, it's quite a ride. And me too, raised Catholic. The only daughter, so had all that code. So going back to the dismantling and the remembering once again. Yeah. And so can you share with us, like, what's it like to work with Victoria Bomb? What does that look like?
Well, you'd have to ask the people that work with me. I can't really, that's the thing about being a projector. I can't really see myself. But what I like to do is I say that I work with advanced souls because, and this has just come through recently, because I'm not the A to Z girl. I'm not the B mini Victoria mediums, right? Because that's impossible. We're not cookie cutters. We're not monkeys. You can teach a monkey how to cut a hair, but a monkey they'll all cut hair. Every person's head the same, right? One of my mentors taught me that. He was a deacon. We are unique creatures, and what I do is I help people to see themselves.
Yeah, nice.
So when I work with somebody as a life coach, a spiritual empowerment coach, teaching mediumship, or in business, because I do all those things, I help them to see themselves by nearly pulling them out of themselves to witness themselves. And I pull people up on their stuff. If I see, because I'm a projector, so I go into someone and I can see all the things. I can see the aura. I can see their mistaken beliefs. I can see the subconscious programming. I can see a lot of stuff. And I shift energy around, and people will message me and go, what did you do? I felt you this morning. And I was like, I was just pulling you in from the other side of the planet. So it's not kind of like voodoo-y or kind of too like it's not spelly type of thing. It's just I am this space of, do you want to raise your vibration? Do you want to raise your consciousness? Do you want to be here to bring your mission out to the world? So my job is to help people bring themselves, their mission to the world. I'm not here for the people that are sitting on the couch twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing, like going, I give up. I'm here for those that go, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm here for the people that have faith and trust and are raw and real, because I've walked through the swamps. I've had night terrors. I have literally like had gaslighting. I've had so much stuff happen to me in my young life that I'm like, I get it. So people come to me and say they were a bad child. I was like, no, you're a child that didn't receive what you needed. I can see the codes. So when people come to work with me, they go through a metamorphosis. They absolutely transform in every way possible, often in ways that they didn't think. But of course, they come out going, whoa, it's happened. And what just happened? And it's because energetically we're raising our frequency. We are who we, and we talk about this, Jackie. You are who you hang out with. So I'm very particular who I hang out with. Not because I'm a snob, but I'm energetically so sensitive. I can read minds, I can feel energies. And if something's off, I become off in my frequency. So I live on a hill with no neighbors on purpose, because exactly. So that's I'm very kind of broad in that, but it's of course I've done all the certificates for, I'm a Reiki master and all these different things, but I burnt all my certificates and I was like, you know what? I just am, and souls will find me and I will find people, and and we will create this ripple effect. So my main thing is I teach mediumship, but mediumship is about this much. Like all around that mediumship is consciousness, light language, channeling, shadow work, embodiment, somatics, soul retrievals, implant removals, energetics, like all of these things. It's a holistic approach to living our lives, abundance and health and wealth,
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I think that's a great description of what Victoria Bond does. And I love it because I keep thinking about all the visitors that come through Hart Place Hospital, and they either come in, what society calls burnout, or we're starting to see them now going, I don't want to get burnout. I want to raise my consciousness so that I don't actually have to go to that level. I don't have to be hit by the Mack truck or by the 4x4 on the back of my head.
Oh,
And I think that's this is where you and I and many, many other leaders are coming in and going, we walk that walk so that you don't have to. We've paved the path so that you can find your next best pivot, your next best turn in the road. But I think that also really relates to what's happening in the world at the moment. So whatever's happening for us is happening in our earth and our world. And so not only are we doing this for those individuals in that massive ripple effect, but we're actually doing it, like you said, for the world. Lifting the vibration, lifting the frequency, so that
we do it for the universe. We do it for the whole universe.
Yeah. And beyond, yeah. And this is what more and more people are actually kind of starting to get curious about. So, there's some people that will never, ever, ever understand this conversation that we've had. And now but there's more people getting curious. And this is why I really wanted to have this conversation with you for the curious. Like, actually, what is this? What is this?
People waking up.
Yeah.
And you were a nurse, right? You're a hairdresser. So we were in the system, if you will. But in my programs that I do, my main signature program is called Magnificent Mediumship. And in the next round, I've got 2 psychologists, 1 therapist. I've got 2 authors. I've got like 2 entrepreneurs. I've got, mums, single mums or whatever. These people that have been through Absolute. And usually psychologists, they've, these two girls have lost a sibling to suicide. So usually they've been through quite a lot of trauma themselves, or they've witnessed that and they want to make a difference in the world, but they want to bring the energetics into their intelligence. So we've got a whole unicorn round coming because the intelligent and the spiritual mixed together as a unicorn, a bit like you, Jackie.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So I'm getting one of the girls who's coming in for a second round. She's also doing her nursing degree. So the light workers are everyday people living everyday lives. I'm a mum. I literally wear activewear with my hair in a pony like 9 days out of 10, unless I'm actually, having to, like, I love doing makeup. I was a hairdresser, but I do makeup in here like for interviews or when I'm recording or when I've got a call with my clients. But normal people, human beings, are all light workers. And if you're here on this planet in 2025, we're having huge shifts next year and the year after and the year after. Well, we'll be really like, whoa, everything changed, like on another level. But people are waking up. So people are finding me going, I watched your YouTube video. So I've got like over 20,000 subscribers on YouTube and it's very active. People are watching. And they're going, one lady said yesterday, I couldn't hear you a year ago. And then you pop back up and I watched your video and now I can hear you and what you're saying because I don't dumb down stuff. Even on YouTube, I talk in a it's literally like poetry because it's a channel. So I could be ADHD, you could call it whatever you want. I'm definitely neurodiverse, but it comes in and it's like a freaking riddle. I watched one of my own videos last night. I was like, that's like an actual riddle. How did that even come out of me? But it's not for everyone. But then people are waking up and they're starting to go, that kind of makes sense. And that's why we're not all wearing pointy hats and, walking around putting blood on our faces and howling at the moon. Great. That's cool if you want to do that. But I'm here to bring practicality, the spirituality for the everyday people. And you can go as far out as you want to with your rituals and stuff. But I'm here to go, let's go have a coffee and have a chat about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And these are the sort of visitors that we get into Heart Place Hospital. Very, very magical. They've only seen one path, which is the conventional house or education system. And like you said, hairdressers, same thing. Your therapists just behind a chair. Your frontline workers holding space for other people who are sharing their biggest stories, and then they perceived to have this burnout, and this is where we come in and we're able to support them to heal their boundary wounds, to advocate for themselves and others, and then craft a life that best suits them, which is what you and I have had to move through to get to this point. And we're creating exactly what you're saying. We're doing it for the world now, where it's a revolution. We don't need to meet at dawn anymore. We can just energetically go, hey, ripple this out to the world because it really needs it right now. And like you say, that person that contacted you yesterday, they're like, oh, I didn't hear last year, but this year it's making some sense.
Yeah. And I've heard burnout because being a projector, I've probably burnt out more than at least there in the world. So I remember my first actual burnout, like if we want to bring this into medical, because a lot of people are programmed that way. My first burnout was like at 19 years old. I had an apprenticeship. To get that apprenticeship, I moved out like when I just turned 16. Oh yeah, just turned 17, sorry, because my boyfriend lived in Hamilton, but I still wanted to have my own experiences. So I went flatting, had a part-time job, got an apprenticeship, went to tech, like worked my ass off because I'm really good at working. I've been working since I was 12. And like, honestly, because if I wanted anything nice, like the Billabong school bag, then I had to work. Mum and Dad had a whole lot of kids. So long story short, like 19 years old, my boss was hard on me. She was only like 26, but she was hard. And I remember going home for school for holidays, Christmas holidays, and I froze. I froze in the bath and I couldn't move. and I'm calling out to my parents, help me. And my parents are very old school, and they kind of, don't make anything a big deal. And I said, you have to take me to the doctor. And I sat them down. I said, I think I'm depressed, because I was freaking out. I froze. So that was like 19 years old. And then that happened many, many, many times. Many times when if I didn't freeze, I was just uncontrollably unable to breathe. I thought this was normal. And that's why I bring it up, because I thought I remember crying every night at 15. So there was obviously depression and hormones and stuff like that. But it's not now. Now that I look back, now I'm nearly 42, and I look back, think that first 30 something years of my life, because of the pressure, because of the conditioning, because of the system, even though thank God I have great parents and they didn't overwhelm me with, lots of friends coming in. We didn't have neighbors, So I burnt out so many times. And then when I woke up, I thought, this isn't normal. Oh my God, this isn't normal. I haven't had a breakdown for so many years, because I've been to the doctors and asked about being dizzy and stuff. And I've been offered to go on medication 3 times in the last 4 years for being slightly dizzy and asking about my menstrual cycle, which is another conversation about going through menopause. And they said to me, we can give you an antidepressant or contraception. And I'm like, oh my, what? So all these women going through menopause get these 2 options. And I laughed at the doctor, who's a lovely female doctor. And she said, what are you open to? And I said, nothing. When I came to you 10 years ago, when I was having a breakdown, I said, look, I am actually not okay. It was really a breakthrough and awakening, but I needed help, right? There's a point sometimes where we need help to save our lives. And they sent me away. And then I come back and I'm perfectly fine. And they said, this could be depression. And that was another time. So like I walked out the doctors laughing, messaging my friends going, I keep getting offered antidepressants and I'm so happy. This is like kind of crazy. So yeah, it's I've kind of like lost my train of thought, but it's quite nuts. We're going through stuff. We have to be able to sit with ourselves and not give away our power to others, but to go, who can help me? And I remember when I found you, Jackie, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're in New Zealand. Oh my God, if you were around 10 years ago, if I knew you existed, then like I might have been able to get help, And wow, because I know I help so many people in the way that I do it, which is my free content and whatnot. But it was unbelievable. The burnout, that's what we're talking about, burning. I've got so many times in my life, I realized I can't be the only one doing that. So how can I help other people? That's why I started sharing my experiences at the very beginning.
Yeah. And, I talk about how society calls it burnout and you and I call it our breakthroughs. And so, I do actually celebrate, because I'm like, this is prime opportunity for a breakthrough here. And we can start the unlearning and the remembering and I love the analogy of the dragonfly, how it goes from different, from the water as a nymph and onto plants, so it's going into a different environment. And so there's so many different transitions, and it's interesting that your transition originally happened during a motherhood transition, and then for me it was perimenopause. And this is why with Heart Place Hospital, amongst everything else we share, we look at so many of the transitions. And you and I met through the sacred sexuality transition, and such a dismantling and remembering of the power of that. But it's interesting how we can label something, but actually see that there's a just beautiful silver linings and opportunities. But unless we see examples of, and this, if we're still going to stay in that medical system, which obviously has a place.
Yep.
But this is where we fill the gap. We've helped those who fall between the cracks, and help them see and help them really ground in. Like there's times where people do receive these gifts and they're flying. They're not. They need real support to ground in and show up in the world as it is. But like you say, everything's changing, and we're those people now, and I'm one of them. I'm completely unemployable. What 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 these people can now do in their lives, and entrepreneurship's one of them, but there's also hybrid opportunities that are going to come about that we can really grow this revolution.
Yeah, and people do slip between the cracks because I was one of them. And I remember even when I was younger, seeing all my friends on meds. They were single mums, so obviously they're going to be struggling. We were in our early 20s, so my three best friends were all single mums, and we all lived in a little town. And I wasn't a mum; I was the hairdresser. But so it was really interesting. I was like, wow, we need to be able to help people learn how to manage with stress and help them come back to their bodies. So most of my work, even though I teach mediumship and channeling and light language, I'm very much an activator. It's actually about coming back to the body. It's about actually dancing. And I mean, I've just had a cup of cacao while I've been here because it's very embodied. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. And me and my husband we will have a chat, and we have our cacao, and we talk about our dreams. And I love personal development and stuff, but it's really interesting. We're all shifting so profoundly and so much. I'm so glad that I didn't go on meds because I wasn't meant to. However, I can see that there was a gap and no one helped me.
Yeah.
No one. I remember going to my parents. I was 33 years old. My little baby was a little baby. Spirit is loud, loud, loud. And I'm talking about lower frequency spirit because spirits that know that they've passed, that are conscious, they don't have loose boundaries. Okay, so boundaries is massive, and I'm so much is going on, and I freaked out. Someone had actually asked me if I could cut their hair, and I couldn't because I just needed to go do an exercise class. So actually, my kid he was only about 5 weeks old, and this client goes, "Can you cut my hair?" And I was like, I'm going to hold my standard. I was like, no, I can't do it till Monday because I was always working, whether I was pregnant or just had babies. I didn't have the luxury of having a year off or anything. That was just not even possible, and that's fine. But I changed my one exercise session. It was like a $5 exercise session down at the local hall. I changed it and I cancelled it, I think. And I did her hair. I was going to do her hair. And my sister came around and said, "Can you look after my kids? I can go for a walk." And I said, "Give me a minute." Went outside and hyperventilated, freaked out. And I'm actually not very dramatic as a person. I'm actually really grounded. And we looked at me and I was like, oh my God. And she said, "No, you go for a walk." I remember walking in the rain, and I walked past my mum's house because we lived in a little village, and my auntie was there, and she goes, "Isn't the weather terrible?" And I said, "No, it's making me feel alive," because it was just raining on me. It was the craziest thing. I was just like, I need to wake up. I need to be alive. I'm dying. I was having all these awarenesses. And, finally I remember going into my mum and dad's house and having another freeze moment. And I've got 2 little kids. I'm like, what is happening? Why can't I do this? Why can't I handle being a human? And my dad comes in. He says, "You're not okay, are you?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And I thought, finally, they're going to sit down and talk to me. Yeah. He walked out, never came back in. My mum walked in. I think she patted me on the head and put a blanket on me. I'm hyperventilating, like, take me to the doctors. Like, take me to the psych unit, man. And thank God they didn't know. And then I did, my final resort was to ring my sister. So I didn't want to put all that stuff on my little sister, So I rang her. She came over. She sat there. This makes me so emotional. This is that last moment, She stroked my head because, she's my little sister. She's so amazing. And I said to her, "I'm so sorry they've had to message you. I'm just so done. I can't do this anymore." She listened to me. She told me, "You have to slow down." We went for a drive, and I was like, I can't do this because I can see how people lose their minds, and my children deserve better than me losing my shit. So I literally was like, that was I think my rock bottom, when I realized my parents weren't even conscious of me, but I did have one person, that one person. Um, I'm so glad I went through that, but I didn't redo that. Once I had that awareness of this has to stop, I put some things into action because I knew that I had to help myself because no one else was going to. But I knew there was people like you in the world. I didn't know where. I didn't know you then, obviously. But
I was meeting tracking at the same time. You were going through the same parallel lives.
yeah, we were both like pulling our hair out. Like, what is this crazy planet?
Yeah.
We
But I love it. I love it because it's from the pain there's the purpose, and I every time, even now, like when I sort of transition through another growth period where my vessel gets bigger so I can receive more, I think, oh, I can't do this. And I think, oh my gosh, I remember saying that during birth when I was birthing my children, I can't do this. And literally not long after that they were birthed. So yeah, it's and this is where my heart breaks, is that, society is saying there's something wrong, bad, and broken with us, for in actual fact there's something right, great, and magical about us. It's just that we haven't we are now, because people like ourselves are creating the soft, safe sanctuaries to land, that we can go, actually, you know what? Let's just bring you back to yourself, capital S, bring you back to yourself. And we're going to hold that space for you. And we're not going to fix you. We're not going to help you, but we're going to walk alongside you, and we're going to serve you, and we're going to tell you that we went through this too, and it's crunchy, but it's beautiful on the other side.
just like everything's like better for you. Yeah, exactly. I've been talking about that a lot, actually. I'm like, there's no right time to actually have a baby. The baby's just about to come out and you're like, make it stop, make it stop. I mean, I actually personally had a wonderful birth, so I loved it. But there's like the one thing I loved about, the first beginning of parenting. But it's it is really uncomfortable waking up. And it's not for the faint-hearted, like you said, but I'm so grateful for that. Every single person that has gaslit on me, every single person who has thrown shade on me, every single person who's like, can I have a haircut? Even though I know you've just had a baby. I said to her no, and she said, I'll go somewhere else. I needed the money. So I said, don't worry about it. I'll get you in, and I did it with a smile. And I'm so glad she did that, because after that breakdown, I was like, I'm never putting a fucking haircut or somebody else's desire or want before my own, because that just hurt my kids. That just hurt my relationship, and that just hurt me. So every single person who's actually done anything to me, I think about them and I send them. Even that my old boss, I hated her for years because she was so mean to me, so mean. I lost all my confidence, but now I think of her, I think she even follows me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for you. I can't get over how grateful I am for these people, because they help to build such a strong being and is such a big character. We have our soul's essence, but all of these make a massive picture. So I'm really, really grateful.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I mean, I just keep going on about this, but we're really bridging between fear and fierce love.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah,
fear totally. Yeah.
You've got to find the passion. If you're sitting in the in-between, if you're sitting in that, I don't know who I am. And the reason why I think, Jackie, you and I have become so successful is because we didn't quit. Quit isn't even in my vocabulary. I love Grant Cardone. He's so intense, and he's always like, quit, don't be a quitter, bitch. I'm really bad. He's really not PC, but he makes me laugh, because quit is not in my vocabulary. There is always another way. There's a million pathways. If something's not working, I will find another way, but I will never quit, because you can't quit on your living. You can't. If you quit on your living, then your body dies, if that's your choice, and then you move on, then so be it. I talk to a lot of spirits that have taken their lives, and a lot of their loved ones that are left behind. So I have no judgment. But if you're here listening to this, or you're wondering what's that next step, and you're playing it safe because you've been conditioned to stay in a box because you don't want to be hurt or gaslit in or shamed or projected on or whatever. Just like my friend, she's like, they can project away because I'm making a difference. So if you come in with a whole, I'm here to make a difference and nothing will stop me, I will always find a way. That's what I always come back to. Always. I will never, ever quit living my life, and I will do it as purely and as honestly as I possibly can, in my most highest integrity and authenticity. Even if other people don't align with me, that's okay. But I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. And I think we have to come back to I'm okay, because when you prostitute out your energy, there's a low vibration consciousness. We cannot do that, because I literally say, stop slutting yourself out. I say that to my clients, and they're just like, oh, and I'm like, I know, right? You were total hoe. And they won't forgive it. It's nothing against prostitutes if that's a chosen career. But just the energy of that, of that desperation, or I want them to like me. So the people pleaser, the yes, 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 yes. I just burnt out. I've seen this happen with friends, many, many people all the time, actually. And I just say, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Because I matter. And then I've got my children and my husband. And every time I give myself away for nothing, meaning because I said yes instead of saying no, right? Then I've literally taken out of my bucket of my inner circle. And that's something that's kept me quite it's kept me regulated to know what is my priorities. And I think that's really important. Is the external world my priority, or am I my priority? Obviously I am, so then I can help the external world, but it's inside out, not outside in. So I think it's just making sure that your own rules and your own discernment, that you're in value, you value that you're in with that, not like the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. When you go within, you never go without. And I think when you're in the systems of the visitors that we support, it's very hard to see that. So I think this conversation is going to be really, 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 really great for them to listen to. And so thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on to the Heart Place Hospital podcast. Appreciate you so much. And I just, yeah, and I just wonder if you could share where people can find you, where your YouTube channel is, and what's coming up in your heart place right now that you want to share with our listeners.
Awesome. So yes, my mission, my heart place, is to reach as many people as humanly possible, to help them see their own gifts, to awaken their gifts within, so then they can make a difference in the world. I want the world to shift and expand and grow and evolve, because that's what we need to do. And every single person on the planet has the ability to be a part of that. So that's my bigger kind of, that's what's on my heart, is reaching just 1 million souls this year with my work. Whatever that means. I might trigger someone into waking up, or I might empower them, whatever. So my whole brand is called Awaken with Victoria Bond. That's my YouTube. That is my Facebook community. I've got a community with over 3,000 people. It's a closed group that is free. People can come into. You can go check out my Linktree. I've got a free program called Soulful Shift, which I think would be really great for some of the people that are in between, like we talked about before. It's like, I'm not sure where to go. I'm like, okay, well, here is a really awesome resource that I've put a lot of time and energy and love into, and it's free. So 90% of my work is free. There is ways that people can work with me. I've got a membership. I've got Magnificent Mediumship certification, which is a 3-month basically metamorphosis of all the things. And of course I have a mastermind and some different places that people can come into if they so choose to. But mostly, yeah, my YouTube has got some epic free trainings. There's activations and light language in pretty much all of them. People are like messaging going, what the hell? My whole life is changing just from my free content. So when people want to get more intimate with me, then they can just reach out and we can look into what that looks like. But I'm here for the whole world. I'm here to help for those who resonate with me, and vice versa.
Yeah. Oh, I've loved this thing so juicy. I loved it being so yummy, and I can't wait to share it. And so, thank you so much, Victoria. And I'll put all these links in so that and I'll blast them everywhere. So because I think you're ready, and people are waking up, and they're looking for that bridge. And I think you're absolutely one of those bridges. And I'm so 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 pleased that we found each other.
Oh, me too. It's so nice to connect. Like, hey, Jackie, it's been like, yeah, what? And I'm like, is this normal? That it's just so normal. And you're like, I'm like, we're so the same person.
Yeah, totally, totally, exactly. Oh, thanks so much. Can't wait to share. Talk to you soon. Lots of love.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.